Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this side event. It's a real pleasure having you over here. It's nice to see a good turnout as well. And really welcome to this special side event during the 57th session of the Human Rights Council. Thank you. I believe I have to be a bit louder. I've got some signals from the back. Right. So I'll start with a brief statement, and then we can continue with the panel. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you to this side event on human rights, a cultural heritage, at the 57th session of the Human Rights Council, hosted by the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace, Mongolia, and Dharma Alliance, Geneva. This event is special on two counts. First, it is not often that a Mongolia-based NGO holds a side event at the HRC. And second, highlighting dharmic approaches and cultural practices in the context of human rights frameworks has rarely, if ever, been done on this platform. In popular perception, human rights are perceived as a modern notion. On the other hand, dharmic cultures have contemplated upon the fundamental questions related to the relationships between the state, society, and the individual for thousands of years. This questioning has, in fact, been extended to all of nature, with the key principles being that of avoiding conflict and of seeking balance and harmony in all relationships at every level and in all contexts. We are honored to have such a distinguished panel of speakers who will share with us how dharmic cultures have responded to age-old questions related to human rights, and why human rights are therefore an integral part of our cultural heritage for thousands of years. We hope their insights will offer a positive message for a world that is anxious, uncertain, and out of balance. Thank you for being here. To begin with, I'm really very delighted and honored to have the opening statement from the president of the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace, Most Venerable Khambo Lama Demberel CHOIJAMTS. He is the president, as I said, of the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace. ABCP was established in 1969 in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, as a voluntary movement of Asian Buddhists with both monastic and lay members. It has national center members in several countries, including Bhutan, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Democratic People's Republic of Korea, India, Japan, Laos, Mongolia, Nepal, Republic of Korea, Russia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. Ivan, could you please play the first video message?
нийгэм эдийн засгийн зөвлөлд Азийн буддистуудын гитааны бахварлал нэгдсэн үндэстэнд байгуулгын нийгэм эдийн засгийн зөвлөлд бүртгэлтэй 54 жилийн тэртээ энтгэх Орос Монголын энхийн төлөө тэмцэгт лам нарын санаа чиглэлээр байгуулагдсан юм а. Энэ удаа нэгдсэн үндэсний байгуулгын хүний эрхийн 57 дугаар ээлжид чуулганы үеэр зохион байгуулагдаж буй хүний эрх бол соёлын өв сэдв уулзалтанд оролцогчдод баяр хүргэж хий алдамд та бүхэндээ хамгийн сайн сайхныг хүсье өрөөж амжилтыг хүсье өрөөё. Ингээд бүрэн хүмүүр эрхчлөө тэгшэрх нэр хүндийг хүсдэг хүн болгон жилхэн байдаг. Тийм учраас бол одоо энд баян ядуугийн ялгаа одоо эреми ялгаа аливаа нэгэн одоо үзэл бодол болоод аливаа нэгэн ялгал байхгүйгээр хүн болгон болоод эрхчлөөний төлөө одоо санаж бодож тэрний төлөө хүсэж байдаг. Тийм учраас энэ Бурхны шишний зүгээс Бурхан магшийн сургаал болоод нийт хүн төрлөختөн нэг бол одоо авраг хайрлах тэгээ бие бусдын тусын тулд гэсэн сэтгэлийн үндсэн дээр бусдыг хайрлах үндсэн дээр байдаг. Энэ одоо хүний эрхийн талаар бол хамгийн дээд зэргийн одоо анхаарлыг тавьж Азийн буддистуудын гитааны бахварлын одоо үйл ажиллагаанд байнга хэрэгжүүлэхийг ингэж оролдож байдаг юм а. Өөрийнхөө эрх хэрэгчлөөг зөвөр сайхан бүтээх ийм учиртай юм а. Та бүхэндээ талархснаа илэрхийлье.
Thank you remotely to Most Venerable Khambo Lama. I'd like to also see this message as a blessing for all of us to take these ideas forward in such platforms. Next, I'd like to invite Most Venerable Lama Byambajav KHUNKHUR. He was elected as the Secretary General of the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace in its 12th General Assembly in 2019. He's an accomplished scholar and author and is the Lama of the Gandan Tengchiling Monastery, which is the center of Mongolian Buddhists. Lama, the floor is yours.
Энэ арга хэмжээнд хүрэлцэн ирсэн хүний эрх инх тайвны илч төлөөлөгчд та бүдгийн амар мэндийг айлтган мэдчиж байна. Та бүдд чин сэтгэлээс талархснаа илэрхийлье. Азийн буддист инх тайвны ба хурлын бурхан багшийн сургаалыг үндэс зочмон болгосон дэлхийн инх тайван аюулгүй байдлын төлөө өөрийн үйл ажиллагаагаа чиглүүлсэн Азийн буддистуудыг игнэндээ нэгтгэсэн олон улсын төрийн бус байгууллага юм. Энэ байгууллага дэлхийн тайван аюулгүй байдал харилцан ойлголцол соёл иргэншлийн нэгдмэл байдалд өөрийн хувь нэмрээ оруулж ирсэн өөрийн зомнол төвтэй нэгэн энэрл нэгүсэл амар амгалан хүчил дэвчээр эв цогцол инхийн үзэл санааны агуу удирдагч шагжиммүний бурхан шагжиммүний сургаал нь хүн төрлөختний оюуны өв соёл үнд зүйлс бөгөөд үүнийг хүн бүр улам бүр хүмүүсийн сэтгэл санаа оюун санаанд төлөвшүүлэн нийгмийг сэтгэл зүйн хямралаас гэтлэх үнэлэг ёс суртахууныг тогтоох дэлхийн тайманд хувь нэмрийг оруулахад бидний хамтын ажиллагаа хүчин чармайлт харилцан ойлголцол нэн чухал юм а.
I extend my heartfelt greetings to the Human Rights and Peace Envoys, as well as the honored guests who have come to attend this event. I sincerely express my gratitude to all of you. The Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace is an international non-governmental organization that unites Asian Buddhists, which directs its activities towards global peace and security based on the basic teachings of Lord Buddha. This organization has a history of contributing to global peace, security, mutual understanding, and the unity of cultures and civilizations. The teachings of Buddha Shakyamuni, the great leader of compassion, peace, tolerance, and harmony, are a spiritual and cultural treasure for humanity. These teachings instill hope in people's hearts and minds, guiding society out of psychological crisis, fostering humane ethics, and contributing to global peace. Our cooperation, efforts, and mutual understanding are extremely important in this regard. Just to save time, I'm going to read some of his para in English, then he'll continue in Mongolian. For as Buddhists, the ideals of peace building are closely connected to our thoughts and practices, and these shared beliefs make it easier for us to exchange knowledge and experience. The peace of the world depends on the peace within each country, within each family, and within each individual. Inner peace is the foundation of living in harmony without conflict and with oneself and with others. Buddha taught, dedicate yourself to your family, dedicate your family to your country, and dedicate everything to enlightenment. Universal peace and security are inseparably linked to human equality and justice, making equality and justice key directions in our work. As humans born with a high destiny, everyone has the reasonable right to live in peace without any fear. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted by the UN General Assembly, along with other international conventions and documents, serve as international standards for human rights in the social, political, economic, and cultural spheres. These principles of justice have been recognized globally and are enshrined in the constitution laws of many nations. In Mongolia, Article 16 of the Constitution outlines 18 rights granted to Mongolian citizens.
Хуулийн биелэлтийг төрийн албалгын хүчээр хангадаг. Тэгвэл ном сургаал, итгэл үнэмшлийн талаас хүний тэгш байдлыг хамгаалах, бэхжүүлэх боломжуудтай эндхийн алдарт ашиг тэргүүтээ ном таад бурхан багшийн сургаалыг үзэл санаагаар ард иргэдийн түүгээр үл барам амьтны эрхийг хүндэтгэн хамгаалж улс орноо хамгаалангийн замаар удирдлан жолоож байсан түүхүүд байдаг. Дэлхийн бүхий л шашны номлол хүний сайн сайхны төлөө бөгөөд эдүүгэн шашин тунгууд харилцсан ойлголцол хамтын үйл ажиллагаагаа бэхжүүлэх инх тайван аюулгүй байдлын төлөө зоригдсон нэгдэж байна. Бурхан багшийн сургаал нь хүмүүн амьтан тэдний амьдралын орчин байгаль дэлхийг энэрх хайрлах цогц сургаал мөн тэр дундаас хүнийг машид ховор эрдэнэт заяат хувь заяат төрөл гэж үздэг. Ухаанд хүний төрөл тушиглан орчлонгийн амгалан нирваны амгалан бурхны амгалан хэлбэр болж болдог.
The enforcement of the law is ensured by the state's coercive power. However, from the perspective of teachings and beliefs, there are opportunities to protect and strengthen human rights and equality. History records that the renowned Indian king Ashoka and other righteous monarchs governed the people and even respect the rights of animals, following the principles of Buddha's teachings and leading the countries on a path of peace. The teachings of all religions are for the well-being of humanity, and today religious people are uniting with mutual understanding and determination to strengthen cooperation for peace and security. Buddha's teachings are a comprehensive guide to compassion and love for humans, animals, the environment, nature, and the world. Among these teachings, humans are considered to be born with a rare and precious destiny. By relying on human wisdom, it is possible to attain the peace of the world, the peace of nirvana, and the peace of Buddha more easily. Buddha exists beyond partiality, near or far, and encourages the cultivation of great compassion by reflecting on the benefits of helping others and being helped. This boundless compassion, directed towards all, suppresses selfishness and brings true happiness to both oneself and others. Happiness is gained not by seeking good from others, but by wishing good to others and by helping others. For all beings, whether human or animal, the desire for life, livelihood, and happiness is the most valuable thing. Respecting and aiding their desire is one of the most noble deeds a human being can accomplish. For a person to fully enjoy the freedom, they must be healthy in both body and mind and have the opportunities for learning and living. This is the result of the karma from respecting others and causing no harm. Malicious and sinful acts against others become the cause for the loss and restrictions of one's own freedom, and beneficial and virtuous deeds to others become the cause of guaranteeing and solidifying one's own freedom. Therefore, it is important to act in a way that benefits others, or at the very least, refrain from causing them harm. The cause of suffering lies in negative thoughts and sinful and wrong actions, while the cause of happiness is positive thought and virtuous deeds. Thus, one should not only seek the causes of happiness and suffering from the outside, but also from within one's own inner mind and actions. This concept is highlighted by Buddha saying, "You are your own savior and you are your own enemy."
За ингээд Бурхны шний сургаалын тэгшэрхийн үзэл санааг товч өгүүлье. Үүнд нэг шүтэг хэрэгчлөө Бурхан багш аяга тахимлаг хийгээд мэрэгдээ алтыг шатааж тасалж давтаж шалгадгийн адил аяа миний сургаалыг сайтар шинжилээд бишрэл төдийгээр бус хүлээн авч үйл тэмээ айлсан нь чухамдаа бишрэл төдий тулгалт төдийгээс ангид шүтэг хэрэгчлөөний сонголтыг олгосон юм а. Иймээс ч сургаал үгийг дагагч бус утгыг чухал дэгээ эргэж учрын шалтгаанаар хандагч суралцагчийг сайн оюут нэмээсэн буюу 2. Үүсний тэгш ирэх байдал. Эрэм төрөл эрх тэгш гэгээл төрч болно. Үүнд ямар ч хүнсний ялгаа бол хамаарна. Их хүний хайр ивэл ач тус агуу тулд ямагт дээдлэн хөндөлж ачийг нь хариул. Их хүний хийгээд бусдын тусыг хэсмэдсэн хүн эгээрчүүл чадна гэдгийг сургасан. Тантрын номлолч эмэгтэй хүнийг машид дээдлэн хүндэтгийг сургасан байдаг. 3. Тэгш нийгмийн тэгш ирэх. Нийгмийн давхаргыг үүсгэл нь ялгуурлыг бий болгож зарим нь хүн болсны хувь эрх чөлөөг үл эдэлж байваа. Бурхан багш энэ байдлыг зохистой ус хэмээн болгоогоод энэ бол эрхэт тэнгэрийн хувь тавилангийн онолт биш зөв сургаал боловсрч сайн үйлийг бүтээж амьдарч байгаа хүнд аж аргал ирнэ. Тэр л дээдс мөн хэмээжээ.
Now let's briefly discuss the principle of equality. Now let me briefly discuss the principle of equality in Buddha's teachings. 1. Freedom of religion. Buddha said, just as gold is tested by burning, cutting, and polishing, so too should my teachings be closely examined, not simply accepted out of faith. This emphasizes freedom of choice and belief, free from mere devotion or imposition. A good student is not one who follows the verse blindly, but one who seeks the meaning and approaches them with reason. 2. Gender equality. Both men and women can equally attain enlightenment with no distinction based on gender. The love, care, and beneficence of mothers are immense, and Buddha taught that one cannot reach enlightenment without acknowledging and repaying the kindness of one's mother and others. In tantric teachings, women are held in the highest respect. Social equality. The society was divided into different social strata, which denied some individuals the right to enjoy inborn freedom. Lord Buddha considered this division as unfair. He taught that social equality comes not from fate or divine assignment, but from learning the right teachings and living a virtuous life. Those who do so are the true nobility.
Хүнсний үргэлжлэл эдэлж хэрглэж байгаа богд бусдын хийж бүтээсэн зүйлс эзэмсэн эрдэм боловсруулж багшаас хамаарна. Иймд бусад үгүй бол би үгүйг ухаарч бид баригч дээгүр үзлийг сэтгэлээс нь зайлуулж бусдын ач тус гавьяаг үнэлж туслах ёстой буюу. За 5 энэрл нэгүслийн тэгш байдал. Мөн амтан богд урд төрөлдөөн миний их болж ачаараа тэтгэж байсан. Богд ил талд нарийн бүдүүн зовлон эдэлж байдаг. Зовлон огт тусдгүй жаргалыг хязгааргүй хүсдэг. Миний адил бодгол хэмээн энэрл нэгүслийн сэтгэлийг төрүүлэхийг альцсан. За энэ талаар би урд зурдсан 6. Суралцах гэгэрхийн тэгш байдал. Сэтгэлд бурхны мөн чанар буюу гэгэрлийн үндэс байдаг. Сударт сэтгэлийн гинтийн хэрээр бүрхэгдсэн бөгөөд мөн чанар нь гэгэн гэрэлт мөн тулд хүн бүр суралцж сэтгэлийн хэр гэмийг арилган эрдмийг төгсгөж гэгэрэл төрч чадна гэдгийг заасан. Бурхан багш бусдын хэлэнцгийг усаар угаахгүй, амьтны зовлон мотраараа арилгахгүй, олсон эрдмээ хэн нэгэнд юулахгүй, үнэн ном ямагтыг зааж аврын хэмээн альцсан бол альцсан нь ном бол жинхэнэ аврал мөн гэдгийг тоцгосон байна. За номон суралцагч шавийг бодмөрийн зэрэгт шудраг оюун тогс эгээрх чимээн тодорхойлсон. Шудрагын хичээр бусдын үзэл номлолыг үгүйсгэж өөрийн үзэл номлолыг төвөөлгөн тойширдгүй тэг шаналгыг илэрхийлсэн мөн. Энэ нь мэдл өргөн мэдлэгийн цар хүрээтэй болохын үндэс болж өгдөг. Бусдын үзэл номлолд аврагдхуунч би орхитгун аль аль нь буй. 7. Карма буюу үүлийн үрийн тэгш байдал. Зарим номлолд дээд давхаргын хүн буруу үйлийг хийсэн ч доош сунана. Доод давхаргын хүн сайн үйлийг үйлдвч дээшвэлт дэвшин хэмээдэг нь хэмээдэг. Тэгвэл орчлон төрсөн хинч ямар үйлийг хийн түүний үрийг амсдаг болно. Нагарж унагийн уур мунхаг шунал гурваар өдөөгдсөн үл нөгөл аваад түүгээр үл өдөөгдсөн буян үл хэмээсэн. Муу үйлийг эдэлж эс бөгөөс намжилдаг бардаг буюу иймд муу үйлээс ангид сайн үйлэнд шадрална гэдэг хүн бүгдийн тэгш зарчим маа.
Equality is interdependent. Everything exists in dependence of others. Equality and interdependence. Everything exists in dependence on others. Nothing can exist in isolation. Our bodies come from our parents. Our minds are a continuation of the past beings in our previous life. And everything we use comes from the efforts of others. Our knowledge and education depends on our teachers. Therefore, understanding that I cannot exist without others, we should abandon our own egoistic pride, recognize others' contribution, and strive to help them. 5. Equality and compassion. Buddha taught that all beings, human and animal, have been our mothers in the past lives, sustaining us with their love and care. All beings go through visible and invisible, small and big sufferings. nor being desires suffering, not only but overly desire happiness. Buddha taught us to show compassion, believing that others are sentient beings, just like yourself. This was mentioned earlier. 6. Equality in learning and enlightenment. The essence of the Buddha, or the potential for enlightenment, exists in every mind. The sutras state that while the mind is clouded by temporary impurities, its true nature is luminous, allowing everyone to learn, eliminate mental defilements, and ultimately reach enlightenment. Buddha said, Buddhas do not wash away the sins of beings with water, nor remove their sufferings with their hands, nor transfer their realized wisdom to others. They teach the truth, and beings are liberated by practicing it. This emphasizes that the teachings themselves are the true providence. In the book, Stages of the Path to Enlightenment, students are described as honest, knowledgeable, and seeking truth. Honesty refers to not dismissing others' teachings while not being excessively attached to one's own, fostering an impartial attitude. This impartiality is the foundation of attaining broad knowledge, understanding, and acknowledging that every teaching has both its strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Equality in karma. Some teachings suggest that even if a person from the upper class performs wrong actions, they do not go to hell, while a person from the lower class does not rise even if they perform good deeds. However, in reality, anyone born into this world experiences the consequences of their actions, regardless of their social status. The Revered Nagarjuna said, actions motivated by anger, ignorance, and greed are sinful, while those not motivated by these are virtues. 8. Equality in forgiveness and patience. When one's mind is consumed by emotions like anger, greed, confusion, jealousy, or arrogance, one's actions tend to be soiled and negative. A person suffering from the disease of disturbing emotions may unknowingly harm others, even harming themselves in the process, such as when people, driven by anger, take their own lives. Just as we feel compassion for a loved one suffering from a physical illness, similarly, we should also feel compassion even for those who are afflicted by disturbing emotions, even if they are our enemies. Gained I the virtues of self-control, having iconized my loathed enemy, but gained he the sin, the cause of suffering, by making me an icon. On the contrary, we can forgive by understanding and believing that I have benefited and the other has not. This is what we call mutual forgiveness. An enemy can become a true friend and vice versa. Therefore, treating both the enemy and the friend equally without excessive attachment or aversion is the foundation for overcoming anger and desire. Now, okay. Buddha's teachings on equality, respect for one another, and non-violence align perfectly with the ideas and principles of the United Nations. When combined with wisdom and compassion, they can unquestionably become the foundation of and a universal guide for ensuring the peace and well-being of all sentient beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Lama. That was very inspiring. In the interest of saving time, we also want to keep some time for interaction at the end. I'll rush through the introductions. The next speaker is virtually remotely Professor Kusum Jain, who's a renowned scholar of Dharmic cultures and traditions and has been the head of the Department of Philosophy at the University of Jaipur. She's also an advisor for Dharma Alliance. Please, Ivan.
Long before the Western development of human rights in the 17th century, all the members of this august, good evening and namaskar to all the members of this august gathering. Friends, human rights are considered one of the most sacred principles of our contemporary times. These are often perceived as a predominantly Western idea. However, long before the Western development of human rights in the 17th century, ancient Indian philosophy, religion, and culture strongly advocated for universal and inalienable human rights. Vedas, the oldest Hindu scriptures dating back to 1500 BC, declare that liberty of the body, home, and life are inherent rights of every individual. The Upanishads promote the idea of the world as a single family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, emphasizing equality, freedom, and the dignity of life as fundamental postulates of all social structures. Human rights are deeply rooted in the Vedic concept of Rita, or cosmic order, which manifests itself through dharma, an ontological and normative framework governing social, legal, and political order. Dharma prescribes an elaborate system of rights and duties for individuals, the state, and social institutions, ensuring the sanctity of life, protection from violence, freedom of conscience, and social justice. The Dharma Shastra also held that even the state, including the king, was subject to these moral laws. Kings were not absolute rulers, but were expected to act according to dharma, ensuring the rights and well-being of their citizens. Kautilya, in his political treatise Arthashastra, added economic rights to the existing civil and legal rights, stressing the responsibility of the state to care for the vulnerable, such as orphans, elderly, and underprivileged classes of the society. Echoing the concepts of universal welfare and social justice enshrined in second and third generation of modern human rights. The rise of Jainism and Buddhism further strengthened these ideas. Jainism's principle of ahimsa, non-violence, required for the protection of all life forms, while its principle of anekantvad, the multiplicity of perspectives, encouraged respect for religious, political, intellectual, and cultural freedom. Its precept of aparigraha, the principle of minimal accumulation and consumption of material wealth and resources, ensured the idea of shared prosperity and fairness in distributive justice. Buddhism's extraordinary emphasis on compassion supported the upliftment of marginalized communities, promoting a more humane and egalitarian society. A key distinctive feature of Dharma conception of human rights is the integration of rights with moral duties. Unlike the modern notion of individual rights as entitlements, Dharma tradition views rights as tools for fulfilling one's moral obligations, known as rina in Vedic text. Rights are not ends in themselves. They are privileges granted to enable individuals to carry out their responsibilities towards the welfare of themselves, others, and society. This holistic and morally grounded view of human rights offers valuable insights that can enrich contemporary human rights discourse, making it more comprehensive and effective. Thank you.
I'd like to now call upon His Excellency Ambassador David Fernandez Puyana. He is the Ambassador and Permanent Observer of the University for Peace at the United Nations office in Geneva. He's also been a long-time supporter of Dharma Alliance and in making a lot of the international frameworks and perspectives much more inclusive than they currently are. The floor is yours, Ambassador, Your Excellency.
I thank you very much, the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace, Mongolia, and also the Dharma Alliance, in particular, Dr. Prashant Sharma, for organizing this important event on human rights and cultural heritage. I would like to remember that the government of India have shown us in the past years, in the context of the International Day of Nonviolence, how Mahatma Gandhi principles influence in the drafting process of the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Principles like harmony, mutual respect, love, shared prosperity, and interconnectedness of all life. All these principles are based in the Dharma philosophy. Rooted in ancient and civilization, the Dharma cultures and communities have contemplated the major global challenges such as peace, environment, and sustainability for thousands of years, and translated this wisdom into a vast array of individual and social practice across times and geographies. Buddhism has been associated with inner peace and world peace. Every image or statue of Buddha sitting in meditation inspires harmony and peace. It's in the mind that peace, love, hatred, harmony, or violence start. The mind is like a garden. As one sows, so he or she will reap. Peace is first an individual achievement. Then it grows into a collective achievement. Finally, it becomes peace a universal achievement. Given the University for Peace mandate of dissemination and knowledge fundamental to the full development of human persons and society through peace, dialogue, and cooperation, Dharma Alliance partnered with the University for Peace and the Alliance of Civilization in holding a panel discussion in Geneva some months ago to highlight ways in which Dharma, cultures, and traditions from across the world have been engaged with peace and development. In this special occasion, I thank again Dharma International to count with peace in your noble endeavor and aspiration to promote peace and harmony in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those very warm and encouraging words, Your Excellency. I'll now call upon Dr. Lhagvademchig JADAMBA. He is a senior researcher at the National University of Mongolia. I'll keep it at that. He has a very impressive profile, but just in the interest of time. Dr. JADAMBA, Dr. Lakta, the floor is yours.
Your Eminence, humble Lama Gabji Demberel CHOIJAMTS, the President of Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace, and most venerable Lama KHUNKHUR, the Secretary General of the ABCP, dear Dharma friends and esteemed audience. I'm deeply honored and grateful to participate in this side event on human rights and cultural heritage at the 57th session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva. This is the first significant official event co-organized by the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace and Dharma Alliance. It is auspicious to note that both organizations' values and guiding principles are rooted in Dharma principles. How can Dharma culture and its guiding principles benefit not only the nations where it is deeply rooted, but also serve all humanity? How do these fundamental Dharma principles enrich global norms on human rights? What can we who cherish and uphold Dharmic values in our actions do to incorporate these principles into international discourse and practice to sustain and advance human rights? In reflecting on these questions, I would like to share my humble thoughts with you by emphasizing three aspects of Dharma in connection with human rights. First, Dharma as law. Dharma represents a universal law that acknowledges all beings' inherent rights to freedom, happiness, and their freedom from suffering. As the Dhammapad, the sayings of the Buddha, remind us, all beings tremble at violence, all fear death. By putting oneself in another's place, one should neither kill nor cause others to kill. This extends beyond human beings to include all sentient beings. It underscores that every living being has the right to happiness and the cause of happiness. Second, Dharma as the path to achieving universal human rights. The principles of Dharma, ahimsa, nonviolence, paropkar, working for others' welfare, and karuna, compassion for others, are the key to realizing the right to happiness for all. As the Dhammapada also says, hatred never ceases through hatred in this world. It ceases through non-hatred. This is an eternal law. Similarly, Shantidev, the Indian scholar from ancient Nalanda University, thought in his work titled Bodhicharya Avatar, all the suffering in this world arises from wishing ourselves to be happy. All the happiness in the world arises from wishing others to be happy. Third, Dharma as duty. Dharma is not just a set of values, it's our duty. We as human beings have the duty to respect each other's freedom happiness, and the cause of happiness. This duty extends to all beings, including animals and the environment. Upholding Dharma means embracing responsibility for the well-being of all life. Both the Asian Buddhist Conference for Peace and the Dharma Alliances are guided by Dharmic values. We have a collective responsibility to advocate for the integration of Dharma principles into international practices, promoting peace building, conflict resolution, and protection of human rights. In my humble view, there are two essential actions we must take. First, we need to work toward creating compassionate societies within our nations. Second, like-minded international organizations, such as ours, should unite to raise awareness and promote a Dharmic culture that supports, sustains global human rights. I firmly believe that these side events, human rights, a cultural heritage, will strengthen collaboration between international organizations grounded in Dharmic principles, contributing to the betterment of humanity and realization of the inherent right to happiness for all. The root of the Dharma word is Dri, which means to sustain, hold, and maintain. Let us recognize and work together in our Dharmic duty to sustain and nurture human rights, ensuring happiness and prosperity for all. Sarv Mangalam Bhavatu. May peace and prosperity prevail throughout the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Demchig. That was very succinct and wonderfully put. I'd like to now call upon Dr. Jasdev Rai, who serves as the director of the Sikh Human Rights Group in London. Dr. Rai, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll shorten my speech because we want question answers. The Sikh concept of Dharma is consistent with the broader principles and worldview shared by all Dharmic panths. We believe there is one Dharma, but many paths. We also believe that no one can articulate the one Dharma. The word Dharma or Dharma is complex and really has no transliteration in any European language. It becomes difficult to categorize it in current UN treaty languages. Accepting other paths to understanding of reality and truth without judging them is one of the fundamental principles shared by Dharmic panths. Secondly, we don't have a dualist perspective. Hence, we don't make a clear division between religion and secularism. In fact, the word religion perhaps is meaningless when associated with Gursikhi and perhaps other dharmas. We think the word Dharma should be introduced into UN language as distinct from religion. In Dharmic civilizations, there have been many texts and practices on responsibilities and duties to respect the dignity of the person, family, and community. This triangular relationship is another core foundation of Dharmic living. This approach essentially leads to the same goals as the human rights regime does. However, as Sikhs, we don't promote universalism. We are committed to pluralism as we believe different Dharmic panths, different religions, and belief systems all have similar aims, but different conceptual and philosophical outlooks in achieving the aim of dignity and respect for all. Principally, we believe that the Creator is manifest in the creation. In fact, the creation in all its diversity is the Creator manifest in a plurality of forms. Living and non-living things, matter that we see, and entities that are yet manifest are all part of one. So today's side event is very significant. I think the United Nations needs to move towards pluralism and be inclusive of the many worldviews and philosophical perspectives. It will lead to a better coexistence and peace among the many civilizations of the world. As we are moving more towards conflicts, we think we need to find a way forward of means of finding coexistence, and I think Dharmic panths have the solution for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rai. I'll now call upon Ms. Sumedha Verma Oja. She's an author, columnist, and speaker, and she has been writing and a researcher and a historian. She's been writing on dharmic issues for a long time now. Ms. Oja, please, the floor is yours.
Namaskar to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, ABCP, and thank you, Dharma Alliance, for allowing me to put forth the theoretical and structural viewpoint of Sanatan Dharma. We've heard the dharmic concepts of the wonderful earlier speakers who have gone before me, I would just like to put this in some kind of theoretical understanding. The elements are the same. The treatment may be a little different, but I think you will recognize the connectedness of all the dharmic ideas that we have been discussing. We do think of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as something Western, but do remember that it was an Indian lady, Hansa Mehta, who actually made this Universal Declaration of Human Rights universal, as in she insisted on the inclusion of women. So she was the one who told Eleanor Roosevelt of this lacuna, and then the wording was amended. So it has been a multicultural kind of effort right from the beginning. However, the context and the understanding does seem to us who are from different non-Abrahamic panths, it does seem to us a little different. It does not seem to conform always to the way in which we understand dharma. So if we talk about dharma in our context of Hinduism, I will look at it in a slightly different way. People have been giving very wonderful and profound descriptions of the meaning of dharma. I have certain definitions to offer you. Now, these are from the different smritis. And for example, the Yagyavalkya Smriti. But before that, let me tell you that dharma is of 5 types. We don't want to know about all 5. There's not enough time. But 2 are very important for us. And that is Samanya Dharma and Raj Dharma. We have heard about love and compassion. Love and compassion actually inform both Samanya Dharma as well as Raj Dharma. And Dharma also is one of the aspirations of the ideal society. Dharma, Arth, Kam, and Moksha. These are the aspirations of Vedic society, of Dharmic society. And in this, in Indian political thought, Indian traditional thought, all these have to be balanced with Dharma as the linchpin. Now let's talk about Samanya Dharma. So what is this? This Samanya Dharma is nothing but the way in which each individual in society speaks to each other, behaves with each other, and talks to each other. If all individual beings in society have a certain code of conduct in which they behave with love, compassion, etc. to each other, perhaps we don't even need this concept of a universal declaration of human rights because it's automatic. So what are these elements of Samanya Dharma? There are many definitions. I am giving you the definition from the Yagyavalkya Smriti. So what are the things? Non-violence, truthfulness, not stealing, purity, control of senses, charity, mercy, self-restraint, forgiveness. The norms are such that adherence to these by all individuals would guarantee the human rights of all. But human beings are not perfect. So we know things are going to go wrong because people are not perfect. So what do we need? We need Raj Dharma, which is the way of justice, of dand. It is the Swami or the king, who is the first among the equals in all the prakritis or elements of the state, who controls justice and the dand in such a way that people are forced, or I would say people are nudged to follow these elements of what we would today call universal human rights. So what is the idea behind this? How is the dand supposed to be used? How is it supposed to be administered to people? Is it through coercion? Is it through some kind of very hard punishments? No. The idea of the king is as the father of his people. I will just give you one Sanskrit shlok because there shouldn't be too many, but it'll give you the basic idea. Praja sukhe sukham raja prajanam cha hite hitam na atmam priyam hitah ragya prajanam tu priyam hitam. It is in the welfare and happiness of his people that the welfare and happiness of the king, that is the state, lies. So do we see the coming together of so many of the ideas which have been mentioned here, the elements of the way in which individuals should behave with each other, the way in which the state should exercise its power in a very, very compassionate and very, very just way. So here we have a little bit of theorizing of the entire system as we would like to see it. We also have this little question of why do we want dharmic panths to look at universal human rights again? That's because we can contribute something. What can we contribute? We have heard about how it is Reet, Satya and Dharma. What is Reet? It is cosmic laws. So it brings in not just all human beings, but all of society and the cosmos. So everything about environment, sustainability, all these things that we are struggling to achieve. If we put in some dharmic inputs, this becomes more or less automatic. I think Prashant is looking at me, so I'll end over there. Thank you.
You see, with your fine-tuned dharmic antennae quickly read the energy. Thank you so much. I think that's a great entry point for this discussion. We'd like Professor Levra to do the closing, but before that, perhaps we can take a couple of questions, quick questions. Any questions? If not, of course, then Professor Levra, then you will have. Oh, there is a question.
We just heard from Sumedha ji regarding completion of human rights concept when Hansa Mehta intervened and got the women included. But I'm, a naive student of this subject. So I'm just curious, why do we call about human rights as human rights only? Means in WHO, we are shifting from the concept of human health to One Health to planetary health. Why not about other living beings? Why don't we call it life rights?
Who would love to take that question on the panel? I will deal with it. Wonderful. So, Professor Levra, there you have it. Is there any other question which you would like Professor Levra to take on? Perhaps.
За энэ асуудлыг бол 2500 жилийн тэртээ бол хүн багш тавьсан байна. Тэгээд ганц хүн биш амьд бүгдийн тусын тулд гэсэн ийм одоо үзлийг энийг бол их инрэл хайр гэж одоо нэгэн үзэж байгаа.
Your question was answered by Lord Buddha 2,500 years ago. He said it's not only the human beings, all sentient beings, they deserve compassion, they deserve life, they deserve love and care. All sentient beings, that is, all living creatures.
Энэ бол амьтан бүгдэд амь нас гэдэг бол маш үнцэнтэйг харуулж байгаа.
Life is precious and important for all living beings. Whether it's a human or an animal, they struggle to protect the life. I think this is an inherent kind of a desire of all living beings.
Great. I think we have time for one more question, and then Professor Levra, the floor is yours.
So much. Okay, thank you very much for all the comments. You're all involved in the deep concepts of karma, but also have all responsibilities at the highest level to push forward these thematics. I'd be curious to hear you as to the current limitation and blockages to taking the dharmic discussion further in the international realm. Are there institutional blockages, cultural blockages, lack of a voice type blockages? So what do we need to go beyond these current elements? Thank you.
Thank you for that lovely question, which is a great idea for the next side event, at the very least. Thank you, Professor Villeneuve. I'll now quickly introduce Professor Levra. He's the 4th Special Rapporteur on Minority Issues. He was appointed by the Human Rights Council on the 13th of October, 2023, and took up his functions as Special Rapporteur on the 1st of November, 2023. He will give us the closing remarks, and that's what you're going to all leave with. So, Professor Levra, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for organizing this event. And naturally, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. Human rights as cultural heritage. I could not agree more. But human rights also as universal. Because the Universal Declaration of Human Rights says they are universal because they enshrine in each human being that we are all born equal in right and dignity. But for historical reasons, this cultural heritage of human rights is often portrayed as a European or Western heritage. And to be fair, it's not wrong, because historically, at that time, the international society was composed of many less states than today, and actually, European states were ruling large part of the world. Thanks to evolution, things have largely changed. In 1948, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is adopted, we have 58 member states in the UN. Nowadays, it's 193. So it has broadened. And I think we can see it positively. So there is this narrative that the cultural heritage of human rights come from the West. But if human rights want to be and to remain universal, they have to accept and admit that actually there are several heritage, several narrative, and the condition for the human rights to remain universal. And by the way, I'm a European, so I can be critical in pure good faith of Europeans. It is very interesting that in 2007, the Europeans in the European Union had a new article in their founding treaty with European values. And what do they list? They list those famous universal values. So they have to know, is it universal or is it European? Or is it both? Then it's not universal. So it happens that I'm tasked by the Human Rights Council to deal with minority issues. And in 1948, when the UN General Assembly adopts the Universal Declaration, there is the minority issue. And they decide not to put minority. It's written in the resolution which adopts the Universal Declaration. And they say, oh, minority, it's important, we'll deal with it, but it's not universal because it's different everywhere where it happens. Well, this is diversity. And what we all have to understand and share is that universality does not mean monolithic understanding of what the human rights are. Quite on the contrary. What makes them universal is precisely, as was said, this plural character of their origin, the plural understanding. It doesn't mean that it is different. It has to remain universal, so there's a common core, but you can reach this common core through different heritage, through different pathway. To answer your question, it is part of the European heritage that between the 13th and 16th century, the thinker of the time separated humanity, human societies from nature. Maybe for good reason at that time. I'm not a historian, I'm not here to judge. But this is part of this Western heritage. And as you say, the world is evolving, we've hit planetary boundaries, and this idea that we can deal with human societies outside of the world is a nonsense. So yes, please, we need other narrative about universality of human rights, which will help to complement. And again, it's not a matter of erasing this European dimension. It does exist, it's there, let's deal with it. But there are other dimensions. And again, this will be the way to really, truly make human rights universal and actually sustainably universal. Otherwise, we're just going a road that goes nowhere. My first report to the Human Rights Council that was presented in March this year was entitled, I quote, "Promoting Diversity on Minority Issues to Strengthen the Universal Dimension of Human Rights." So yes, we need plurality in the narrative, in the heritage of human rights. And again, we will not rewrite history, but we need to enrich this concept of universality of human rights. And to finish, and it's also, and I really much appreciated what you said, we have this European tradition like human rights are individual human rights. No, equality is in this interdependence that you talked about. And so again, we need to enrich this understanding of universality, go beyond this European cultural heritage and find other cultural sources, roots for universal human rights. So thank you very much. I think it was very important and I hope successful side event.
Thank you so much, Professor Levra. In fact, with your closing statements, you have actually proved to us that apart from being European, you're also very dharmic, because that is the dharmic way to expand and to bring in different ideas. Thank you so much. Thank you, the distinguished panel. Thank you all for being here. We hope to continue this dialogue and this debate and these discussions in the coming years. Thank you so much.